So you've packed up and sent your only or last child off to college, a new job, or maybe even marriage. Now what? The point in time when children grow up and leave home can be extremely difficult for some parents, what experts call empty nest syndrome. Here to talk about it is clinical psychologist Dr. Anna Settle. Good to have you with us today.
Thanks, good to be here.
All right, for some folks, and for many folks, they feel some sorrow when the children head off. Now, a few throw a party, but most feel some sorrow when the children head off to college. At what point is it classified empty nest syndrome?
Well, I would think traditionally, anytime people are sending their last child off to college, there is sort of a sense of sadness and loss, which is a normal transition. So people are going through sending kids away and then having much more time for themselves.
Okay.
And so sometimes that can be exciting, as you said, and sometimes there's this feeling of, oh, what do I do with my time now?
Yeah.
So anytime there is a significant feeling of loss and sadness, I would say that would classify as empty nest syndrome.
All right. Are certain people more prone than others to see it? You were telling me something interesting, that it's more likely to be the dad than the mom.
That's right. So research actually shows that women sort of emotionally prepare themselves. And so in the months leading up to the transition, they tend to think about it more and they've emotionally prepared. Whereas dads, more often than not, are sort of shocked by the transition when it actually happens. And so also people who tend to have less time for themselves, who tend to work more, or who actually have more hobbies or extracurricular activities for themselves, they're a little less affected than those people who invest a lot of time in their children's extracurricular activities.
All right. So talk about some of the things that people can do to kind of get past this feeling.
Well, the good news is that, again, the time leading up to the transition is usually the most stressful part. So the transition itself is not typically as bad as people might expect it to be. But this is a time in an adult's life where they can invest in those activities and relationships that maybe they haven't had as much time for in the past. And so really getting involved in those things that are fulfilling for you. The other piece of it is with social media and with all of the extracurricular activities that kids in college are doing, parents are more connected than ever before. So you want to give your children the time for that independence, but at the same time, there are ways to stay involved.
All right. And I would think, too, especially as you mentioned with social media and with FaceTime, I would think that would have been a big help for a lot of parents.
Absolutely, yes. So parents are very involved, whereas, back in the 60s and 70s, parents were dropping their kids off and they wouldn't talk to them for a while. Today, in this day and age, we're talking to our children every day, pretty much. But again, it's important to allow them that time for independence as well.
All right, super. So when is there a point where someone should maybe seek help?
So any prolonged periods of sadness that start to look like depression, so not being able to get out of the bed or crying every day, feeling sadness for 2 weeks at a time or more, certainly those are symptoms that it could be something bigger than just the natural feelings of loss associated with children going off to school.
All right. So once you get to a point where you think someone may need treatment, what are a couple of the steps that you would take a parent through?
So it'd be really important for a parent to seek out some mental health professional if they are feeling symptoms of depression, because certainly those feelings, once it reaches a certain level, those are things that cannot be remedied on their own.
Okay.
The other piece of it is that now colleges have college counseling centers, and so if the children are experiencing a loss with the transition, which is then affecting the parent, they can also seek help, and you can do that separately in separate cities. So reaching out for help is the big key point.
All right, fantastic. Lots of great information. Thank you for being with us today. If you'd like to get in touch with Dr. Settle, we will put her contact information on our website at newschannel5.com.